Hi, good evening, and welcome back to another episode of the Football Philosophy Podcast. And today we have a special podcast, which is all to do with Man United. So, to help me go through this today is yours truly, Trey, Mr. Instagram, the number one promoter, the young Eddie Hen. What are you saying, bro?
No, Mr. Philosophy, thank you so much for having me once again. Look, we've got a great guest today. We've got Nathan Best. He's done some incredible work, and he doesn't need an introduction. He's been doing some tremendous work, and I've been following him quite closely via LinkedIn. So we're introducing Nathan Best. How's it going?
Well, thank you for that tremendous introduction. You know, it's great to be on. I paid attention to last week's podcast, stuff like that, and you know, I was pretty impressed, to be fair, because it's the first time I watched it last week. And yeah, let's get into it. I'm excited.
Absolutely.
Let's go.
No, you need a proper introduction. I mean, you know,
I need a proper introduction.
You're a writer for the number one United channel, I would say, at the moment. The United Stand. They've just hit 1 million subscribers on YouTube. They're doing tremendous work over there. So you write for them. You worked with Stephen Howson before. Right now, also on top of writing for the United Stand, you have your own podcast, the Busby Way podcast. So we're excited to have you on this podcast. And last time when you were commenting on our show, I was like, wow, you know, Nathan is actually watching us. So that was
yeah. But it's weird because I was speaking to you before we went live. It's just obviously the more connections you sort of have and stuff like that, and it's more exposure you get. And obviously writing for the United Stand, it sort of helped me sort of, you know, get more connections, stuff like that, which is sort of, it's helpful. It's all you need in this game, you know what I mean? It's basically who you know, what you know. So yeah, yeah.
Let's get into it. I mean, Trey, today, like I said, this is all about United. We're recording this at the back of United winning against Burnley for the first time in how many years? Thank God, finally we've done it. 3-1, beautiful goals. Bruno, absolute magic. Donny van de Beek, Greenwood, Rashford, Cavani, just beautiful. And then the news hits as soon as the game finishes. Instead of us enjoying what was a beautiful victory, the news comes out of United and like all social media that, the European Super League is apparently going to go ahead, and United is one of 6 or 5 big clubs or English clubs that have signed up for this. And I don't know about you guys, but I feel disgusted at the moment. I don't even feel like I can enjoy that victory because of what United have done here. So I'm going to give the floor to you guys just to hear your reaction, because I'm so frustrated by this.
Well, to be honest, if you look at the people who are in charge of this European Super League, it actually comes to no surprise. It's been talked about for years of the eventual split off and stuff like that. It's basically, it's to keep the rich rich and the poor even poorer. It's quite a political stance. Having seen sort of the figures that have already been banded around about how much money these teams will receive, I believe it's the New York Times has suggested it's $425 million if they even accept the offer in total to actually join the league. So it's a purely money standpoint, and the thing is that I think it's off the back of the proposed changes to the Champions League. Obviously, with the 36-team league and stuff like that, and it got, because I think it's Real Madrid's chairman's pretty high up on the UEFA board, in which I've always been against that. I don't think chairman and owners should be on any regulation board whatsoever, because they can just use their way and pull strings to sort of negotiate. Because you've seen that's why City have quote unquote passed FFP, and say PSG and stuff like that. But no, I'm as a United fan, I'm absolutely disgusted. I think Gary Neville hit the nail on the head. It's sort of, you take away the historic values of that if United were just to compete in a European Super League. It's just like, great, yeah, you get to play PSG every week. It's like there's no variety. At least with the Premier League, you get the upsets. You get to say that Burnley's beating Liverpool, or you say like the Sheffield United's beating like United, at Old Trafford and stuff like that. That's the whole point of football. Football's earned; it's not given. Leicester earned their right to be in the Champions League because they won the league. If they finish in the top 4 of the season, they've earned that right. It's not because of a money ploy. It's because you've earned it, and that's what football should be. Football should be earned and not given. So yeah,
Absolutely.
I'm completely against it in total.
Yeah, Trey, how do you feel about this?
Absolutely. Well, Nathan Best said it the best. I'm completely disgusted by what's going on. I definitely feel it's not needed. For me, especially at this stage, we shouldn't even be talking about this league. At the end of the day, it's so disappointing. The fact that the news sort of came about after our win is just absolutely shocking. And Gary Neville is completely right with what he's saying. It's a disgrace for Liverpool, for United, for all the teams that signed up for this. I just feel that it's undervalued some of our sort of historic views and values about our club. So for sure, I'm not for it, and I really do hope that it doesn't go ahead. I hope it doesn't go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, judging on the reaction that we've had from fans, from the Premier League itself. Even the Prime Minister got involved now, and there's not many times that I would agree with Boris Johnson. I would never agree with Boris Johnson, but for once he seems to be on the side with fans. Listen, even with Sky, Boris Johnson, all the Premier League, they have their own agendas. At the end of the day, they want to keep the league and the money in this country as much as possible. So you can understand it, but for us, from our point of view as football fans, we don't want to see teams being given access to Premier League, to Champions League or European football just because of what they've done in the past. Liverpool are not having a great season this season. So therefore, whoever that finishes fourth, which is West Ham or Leicester, they deserve to be there on merit because of what they've done this season. You look at Nottingham Forest. Exactly. Yeah, Nottingham Forest go from Championship to Premier League to Champions League, all of the levels that you won European football, like they've won it twice. And now you look at even the teams that are in this competition, and it's a joke because you look at like Arsenal, Tottenham, what European, like on what basis are they there for? I don't understand it.
It's like you said, the Tottenham one's weird because Arsenal was like, okay, historically, I know they under Wenger they went 23 seasons in a row consistently getting Champions League football, and you could kind of think, okay, they've got a bit of merit on that part. But Tottenham is like, all right, congrats, you reached the one final, then your manager bottles it by playing Harry Kane half fit rather than playing Lucas Moura who got you through, right? And it's like, okay, you bottle the final, and then if anything, you actually look at the teams who won. Who've been offered or won the Champions League. Because I looked at the teams that have reportedly accepted this European Super League, and they've missed out, say, a team like Ajax. Ajax are one of the biggest institutions in European football, and they've not been invited in. They've won 4 European Cups, more than what United have, more than what Chelsea have, 4 more than what City have, but, not the Forest have got more than City have.
You look at teams also like Benfica, Porto, big teams, But what I wanna understand from your point of view, guys, is like from United point of view, like this is damaging for us, isn't it? Like these guys, they don't care about the traditions and the history of this football club. The owners, they like the last time that any of them actually watched a United game at Old Trafford, I cannot remember for the life of me. I cannot remember it. Yep. It's a joke.
See, here's the thing, though. The people that are funding this is the American bank. Is it J.P. Morgan? They're the ones that are funding it, and they were successful in brokering the deal from the Glazers taking over United in the first place. And obviously, that would mean if they're taking out, let's say, like a $5 billion loan, that's more asset stripping of United, and that's it because United will be the ones paying that back. So that's more debt on top of more debt because United have already paid back, £1.4 billion debt. over like 16 years, and somehow United are still £500 million in debt, which I don't understand, But yeah, it'd be more asset stripping. It's just more money greed from the Glazers and whoever's obviously associated with them. So
it's a joke. Trey, I want to hear your thought on this because Oli, at the end of the match, he was asked about this, and they've left him hanging dry out there. Like, they didn't even release a statement during the game, because this news actually broke during the game was going on, and Oli was just left there like thinking, what am I supposed to do here? Like, what do you want me to say? Like, because we know Oli is a United guy. He loves United, and there is no way that he would come out and say like, oh, we're happy to be part of this competition. There's no way he would say that.
Yeah. No, you're 100% right with what you're saying. They essentially left him out there to hang. It was disappointing to see, because the news sort of broke out whilst the game was happening as well, which was very unprofessional in that aspect. They could have, sometimes in life they talk about timing, like the timing of this information to come out, the fact that it came out whilst United were playing, and the fact that United were one of the teams that actually agreed to this as well. And then the next part of the interview was they asked him, look, what's your thoughts about the European Super League?
Yeah.
What do you expect him to say at that moment? Like, I'm sure he's got his views and his thoughts about what he feels about the European Super League. We know Oli. I don't think he's not for it, obviously, at the end of the day. But at the end of the day, it's his employers who have agreed to this, and they haven't given him the sort of tools for him to understand what's going on. So the whole situation was a messed up one. Me personally, it didn't make Manchester United look good. It was a bad representation of Manchester United, and I feel for Oli in that situation. I truly do.
Yeah. All right. What I'm gonna do now is let's just recap a little bit, because this wasn't planned for us to talk about this. At the end of the day, what we wanted to talk about was just have a nice conversation about United for once. Like, not
never have a nice conversation about United. I found out.
Of course.
If you guys think about it, bro. If you think about it, we're having one of the best seasons since Ferguson has left. Even that time when Mourinho has won us 2 trophies, it was at the end of the season that we were actually like, all right, what, we've had a good season. But now you look at, like, from November and onwards, we're going on a high. We're always improving. Every game we're coming away thinking like, yeah, maybe we didn't do this, but the next game the boys, they come back and we're always improving. So I was looking forward to having a nice conversation. So let's get into that. What do you make? What do you make of it all, Nathan? Like, tell me your thoughts going into the season. What were you thinking, and what are you thinking right now?
Yeah.
I think realistically, you got to look at
this. Will be great to hear.
You got to look at like the job Ollie's done as a whole, because you got to think that this is technically his second season in charge. I don't count the first 6 months because no one knows whether it was coming or going. Do you know what I mean? So you can't really judge that. First season, he loses a guaranteed 20-goal season striker, and the board were like, right, you've got to rely on Martial, who's he hadn't hit a 15-goal season mark. He only hit that in his first season under Van Gaal. Rashford, who'd never at that point reached 20-goal a season mark, and a young lad of Mason Greenwood, in which I know he featured a couple of times. He came on against PSG. When obviously they bottled another European tie. Hopefully they don't bottle this season's one, because I don't want to see it in the final. It's a case of Ollie was relying on that, and he gets Harry Maguire in, and obviously the fee is it's debated on. It is a case of Leicester knew United was desperate for a centre back, so they're going to ask for any amount of money as possible, and that it's their right. They're entitled to do that. First season finished finished third, gets into the top 4, and then it's more with Ollie that you got to look at where the squad was under Jose coming towards the end of that reign and where it is now. I think Solskjaer, considering he's not managed at a top club before, has done a brilliant job. I think he gets, because the job of Manchester United manager, there's still that shadow of Sir Alex Ferguson looming over Old Trafford. So whoever's in the hot seat is going to be unfairly judged compared to other managers. Because I remember last season, Solskjaer finished ahead of Lampard, but what a magnificent job Lampard did, not what a magnificent job Solskjaer did. You know, it's a case of you have to look at that and think, you know, for a guy who, you know, he managed Mulder in Cardiff. Cardiff, he was a bit unlucky at, because I think the damage was already done there when he joined. But yeah, I think he's done a brilliant job. I think there are times where I've questioned his decision making, where, like, for example, 4-0 up against Sociedad, second leg, could have easily rested the likes of Rashford or Bruno for the entire game. But obviously, it shows how reliant he is on these players that he needs to play them to get us over the line. Hopefully, we can break this cup semi-final hoodoo, because I'm always a firm believer that even if you reach the final and don't win it, I don't see it as progress, because it's like, if you reach the FA Cup final but lose, you get the same amount as Morecambe. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't really matter. You still win the same amount. So it's all about getting over that line. But I think hopefully this year the Europa League will do it. If we finish 8 points behind City or so, I see that as progress, because I don't think City are a good team, but they're not the team that was getting 100 points. You know, and it obviously depends on the right window. So obviously we'll kind of talk about that in a bit. But yeah, I think so far, I think he's done a brilliant job.
I agree with you, Trey. I can see you nodding and absolutely agreeing with him. Carry on.
Literally, Nathan Best said it the best at the end of the day. I'm just right with what you're saying. The way I sort of see United's situation is, post Fergie, Ollie, if you look at what he's done an exceptional job. For him, to steady the ship, because let's be honest, the few months before Mourinho left United, just think about the state we was in. The Pogba situation, that was absolutely horrible. The sort of players that he was trying to bring into the club. He was talking about bringing in the likes of Perisic, who, don't get me wrong, he is a good player, but Perisic, if you look at his age and with what we're trying to do at Manchester United, there wasn't some sort of identity. Do you know what I mean? So the fact that Ollie's come in, and the first thing he's done is he's got the players to play for the badge. He's got players that want to be at the club. He's got players that are going to go out there and they know what it's about to play for Man United. So he's sort of educated the people at United to understand, look, you're playing for Manchester United. This is the history behind Manchester United. This is what we've achieved in the past. This is what we're trying to do. Our DNA is about bringing players through the system. It's about having players that are going to go out there, that are going to be proud to wear the shirt, and that's going to give it their all. And we're going to work towards getting to where we should be, which is winning titles. But it's not going to happen overnight. This is one of the sort of messages that I'm trying to put out there to fans, is that this process is not going to happen overnight. And the fact that he's brought us from a stage where we were essentially in the same position as Arsenal. If you want to think about it from a logical perspective, we were where Arsenal were. Now we're in a position where we're closing the gap on City. I definitely feel that if we can win the Europa League and finish in the top two, then that represents progress. And that would give us the right foundations and the right sort of momentum for us to really attack the window, so we can go out there and get players to actually go and compete for the league, because that's the next target at the end of the day.
That actually brings me to my next point now, because Oli has got to make big decisions this summer. He has big decisions to make. Now, we're going to get into the Pogba situation because he still hasn't signed a contract yet. His contract is going to end at the end of next season. He could walk for free. So that needs to be dealt with. But before we get into Pogba, there is a situation developing at United, and that is to do with De Gea and Henderson. Now, Oli has come out and said that he is happy to have them both as his number one. So whether that is healthy or not, let's deal with that. Now, looking at how Henderson has performed over the last 7 or 8 games, Nathan, who would you go out with the start of next season? It doesn't matter if De Gea is here or not. Who would you start?
Henderson. Straight off the bat, I think you've also got to compare. There's a lot of online especially, you get a lot of people who sort of, for lack of a better word, they have uneducated thoughts when it comes to players, like in general. Because you get people who obviously can compare former players and current day players, and it's it's different eras, But if you look at everywhere Dean Henderson's been, Sheffield United, their defence improves. Shrewsbury Town, their defence improves. Grimsby, their defence improves. It's not a coincidence that he generally is there are certain aspects of his game that are probably not as good as De Gea's, because De Gea's reflexes are, we've seen over time and time again, he saved us countless amount of points, but it's coming to the point where with De Gea where we might have to cut our ties a bit. And then you think, okay, but if Henderson's number one, who's going to be number two as well? That's another big thing to consider. Because you've got to think Romero is obviously probably going to leave. So I think that's why United, say, brought in the likes of Nathan Bishop to perhaps be, the number 2 goalkeeper, Dean Henderson. But I think you got to go with Henderson going forward, because I think what I've seen with Henderson is that he's not. I know there was a couple of times in today's game where he got caught. He was very lucky not to concede.
Yeah, he was very shaky today, wasn't he?
He was shaky, but I think it's a case of you'll only get the one game here and there from him when it's like that. Whereas De Gea is becoming
He's a young goalkeeper. Yeah. He will learn. Yeah, so you have to give him the time. Now, when it comes to the transfers for next season, I know Trey, you're with Dean Henderson here, yeah, at the start of next season.
Yeah, I've been with Dean Henderson since the beginning. Since we got him back into the club, I definitely feel that if we're looking ahead, we're looking for the future, and with this sort of identity that Ollie's creating at Manchester United, Henderson's the man that we have to go for at the end of the day, because he's been through sort of the system. He knows what it's about to play for the badge, of course, and I feel that going forward with more games, look, he's young. He's going to learn what we've got from Henderson. He's been able to gain a lot of Premier League experience through Sheffield United, which worked in our favour. He had a whole season with Sheffield United, and he's been able to sort of gain experience from then, and he's had sort of games with us this season as well. So if we're looking for the next stage, I think definitely we got to go with Henderson for sure. And funny enough, this might be a controversial one, but I think keeping David De Gea as well would help them. It would push each other, definitely. I think the competition between both of them will get the best out of both of them, if that makes sense. And we're seeing the likes of Dean Henderson improving his performances, because he knows that if he has sort of a bad game, then De Gea is going straight back in goal. Whereas when De Gea is in goal, he knows if he has a bad game, then Henderson's going in goal. So that sort of position.
I know, it's goalkeepers. Every time I listen to goalkeepers, former goalkeepers who talk about current goalkeepers, and they say that it's important for the back four to have one man behind them that they know, that they understand, who to work with and the way they work with. So maybe it's a new generation, it's a new time, and maybe you do need 2 very good goalkeepers. But imagine having De Gea on the bench on so much wages. I don't think that De Gea is going to be happy about that. If we just move on a little bit now to the transfers for next season, who do you guys like? Where do you think we should prioritize? Is it the striker position, the centre back, the centre midfield? Because there's so many rumors around online.
Well, to be honest, with realistically, United have not had a proper world class right winger since Ronaldo left. Right, I know Valencia did do a good job, but then he got put back as right back, stuff like that. The one area of concern for me, like I think Greenwood could do a job on the right, and I think he's actually looked more assured on the right than he has done. Because I think obviously Greenwood's natural position will be in the future. He will be United's number 9. It's evidently clear to anyone who watches the game. But centre defensive midfield, I think, is a huge area, because for the life of me, McTominay and Fred, no matter how much they perform in big games against, like, say, teams like Burnley today, they frustrate the living daylights out of me. And no offense, but watching Matic run is like watching a bus turn. You know what I mean? It's like I can't be doing with that. So yeah, I think centre defensive midfield. I think the two areas United will prioritise. You just got to think whether Cavani. I know we talk about Cavani, but Cavani, if he goes, I mean, another. Because it seems to me every window it's always United need 3 positions. Okay, next window. Oh look, it's the same 3 positions United need. Next window on, same 3. It never gets sorted. But I think for me, I'd rather have a defensive midfielder in there.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you, because last summer, if you remember, we went into the transfer window thinking, yes, Oli now has got us into 3rd position. He got us into 3 semi-finals. And you're thinking like, well, now they have to give him a striker, a right winger, and a defensive midfielder, or another centre back. And who did they sign for him? Van de Beek, Cavani, Telles. And you're just thinking like, where is the plan for this team, like going forward? And now I agree with you. We have to prioritize the right wing position, because we haven't had that position sorted. And Trey, I know who you're gonna suggest for that. Jadon Sancho, your boy, yeah.
Hey, Jadon Sancho. All I'm saying is the number 7 shirt that we've got available has his name written all over it. For me, if we're gonna go out there,
it's not available now, but you mean when Cavani leaves? You mean when Cavani leaves?
You know what? If it's available, that's all I'm saying. All I'm saying is, as soon as Cavani, if Cavani says bye to United, like, look, for me, I love what Cavani's done. I think he's an excellent striker. He's definitely underrated in terms of his class, his quality, his movement. But if we're gonna sort of think about a right-sided winger, we definitely need a Jadon Sancho. And then plus, let's think about the implications for England, for example. If we get Jadon Sancho, for example, and let's say we I'm not saying it's going to happen, but we get Harry Kane. Let's just put it out there. England's perspective, we've got Sancho, Kane, Rashford, Maguire, Shaw, Henderson.
I was about to say Wan-Bissaka, but Southgate's not picking him at any point.
You know what? It's crazy. It's crazy when you think that Wan-Bissaka's been absolutely exceptional since he signed for Manchester United, but for some reason he can't get a sniff in this England team. So for me, because I'm obviously from Congo and Wan-Bissaka's from Congo, I'm just thinking, because he's getting the disrespect from England, he might as well just represent our country and just forget about England, because at the end of the day, I just feel that Southgate's just disrespecting him. He should be in that squad, definitely, in my opinion, just based on what he's done. And also, just to sort of agree with you guys as well, we definitely need a defensive midfielder, just so we can have someone who can give Pogba, if we get him to sign a sort of an extension, we can give him the platform so he can attack. You can see that there's something brewing between him and Fernandes. They've got a relationship. They've got an understanding. They've got sort of that shared vision of how they want to play when they're attacking. You saw in the goal for Greenwood's goal that he scored for us, Fernandes, Pogba, Greenwood. it's beautiful to see. So those are my sort of priorities, definitely for us in the window for sure. But that only
it's interesting. Carry on.
let me just add as well. We can only do these things that we're talking about unless we win the Europa League. I think the trophy is a catalyst for us to go and do big things here. So the boys right now need to do whatever they can, bring a trophy in so we could gain that momentum, have that right foundation so we can go into the summer and absolutely smash it in the window so we could challenge for the title next season. I feel that we're close. We're 3 signings away.
Absolutely. I have to agree with you. Trey, because I do think that we are just 3 signings away from being a proper Premier League title contender. So, with that being said, that brings me to my next point now. Yeah. And that is the Pogba situation. Now, if Pogba leaves, then I do believe that we are 4 players away, or maybe even 5 players away from, winning the Premier League, because I do rate him that highly. But I have a problem with the way Pogba is used in this team, the way Pogba sometimes changes his mind like the wind. Now, I'm going to leave it to you guys to decide what you think about him. Nathan, just the floor is yours. And keep in mind what he said about Mourinho. So,
see, the thing is, I had this weird thing that like Van der Beek was initially brought in to be a Pogba replacement.
I agree with you,
because I sat there and thought it's.
Yeah, I agree with you.
See, I don't like comparing clubs, but look at City, right? City they've got players in abundance where it's like, okay, if De Bruyne is out, okay, you got Gundogan, Bernardo Silva. They had David Silva before he went and joined Sociedad. Whereas, like with United, it's like it's either you bring in one, but one has to go, sort of deal. It's like Smalling left, so we brought in Maguire. Who else is the right back? Dalot went on loan, so we had to bring in Wan-Bissaka. Sort of thing. It's that sort of. It's never add. It's always go then add, which I don't think should be the case. It should be add a couple, then release one of the fringe players off. So in terms of Pogba, thing is, I think recently we've actually found his best position because a lot of his time at United is what's been the best way to release Pogba. Was it Jose brought in Matic to free up Pogba, and it turns out it didn't happen. We let Ander Herrera go, and now it's like you got McTominay in there, but I don't think as much as I like Scott McTominay, he's not the midfielder we need. Sort of free him up. I think the way he has been used by Solskjaer though in recent games, obviously against Tottenham, he was sort of playing in on the left, a bit of a free roam, so sort of transition like mid game into a bit of a diamond. Rather than a 4-2-3-1, what is set out. But I think a lot of what Pogba offers United is good. The only downside to it is literally his agent, because obviously Fergie called it straight away with when Pogba left in 2012 about his agent. I think a lot of it is to do with that because you have to think Pogba could be thinking of staying, but his agent's like, well, Zidane does like you, and I want my £20 million agent fee because that's what we had to give him when we bought Pogba back. He's got a year left on his deal. Personally, I'd keep him, but it's a case of if you do sell him, it frees up the wage quite a bit, and you need to bring in a top quality midfielder because I think if you just rely on Van der Beek. He's a good player as Van der Beek is. I don't think he can do the stuff what Pogba can do. But yeah, I'd keep Pogba, but I'd make sure and set it out to him. And I was like, look, sort your agent out first. Either get rid of him or just stop him trying to fleece you off to other clubs, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, Trey.
No, 100%. I agree with Nathan. For me, Raiola is definitely the problem. Pogba, as you've probably seen in previous sort of things that he said in the media is that Pogba is just one of those guys that he just wants to play football without the aggro, without the BS. He's a happy-go-lucky sort of guy. Yes, on social media, you can just see he's completely out there. But he's the type of player that he just wants to just be on the pitch and play. For me, if I was his advisor, I would do exactly what Nathan said. I would get rid of Raiola. But obviously, that's not going to happen. So United need to sort that situation. I feel that with Pogba in the team, he's got an understanding with Bruno Fernandes. And I feel that if we can build a team around Pogba and Bruno Fernandes, then we've got the perfect platform to really challenge for the title. If we get the players that we're talking about, if we get a striker, if we get a right-sided midfielder or winger, if we get a defensive midfielder, for example, a defensive midfielder would allow Pogba and Bruno to go out there and do their magic. Because let's be honest here, I love Fred, I love Scott McTominay.
Let's talk about that now, yeah, Trey. Give me one name quickly because we're running out of time. We need to do another show. Give me one name that you would suggest for United as a defensive midfielder, top priority.
I've got two names. For DMs? For a defensive mid or right-sided mid?
A DM.
DM, the two names that springs to mind is I'll go for Wilfred Ndidi from Leicester. That would be a perfect DM for us. Or if we want to sort of save the bucks, I would go to AC Milan and get Kessie. Kessie is the type of player that we need just to sort of sit in front of our defense, of course, and just protect them. So he can have that platform that allows Pogba and Bruno just to go out there and do their magic. That's me personally.
Exactly. I agree with you. That's it. Wilfred Ndidi or Kessie. I am a little bit worried about Ndidi's injury record recently, but he would be an absolute upgrade of what we have right now because McTominay and Fred, I don't know, Nathan, you probably agree with me. They do the same job. It's like using two men to do one man's job.
Yeah, I had a different name in mind. Dennis Zakaria at Gladbach.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's got a year left in his deal.
Yeah.
He's got a year left in his deal, and Bundesliga clubs do sell on the cheap. So it's like you could probably get him for about 25 million, use whatever rest of the budget and spread it around across like better quality signings. But Zakaria, I think, would be doing really good job. I think he's impressed at Gladbach when I've seen him play.
Yeah, and Yves Bissouma at Brighton has looked very good this season. So that is another suggestion that I would like to make.
Yes.
Yeah, Bissouma. So you know what? It's been a great discussion. Trey, I know you had the question for Nathan about United's best and stuff like that.
Yeah. So if you was to sort of like just based on your signings that you was, let's say hypothetically, United were to win the Europa League and were to sort of be in the top two in the Premier League. In the summer, who'd you go out there and get, and what would your dream 11 be?
Can it be based on me being hypothetically like playing FIFA sort of thing, or do I have to base this on like realistic figures?
FIFA.
FIFA.
This is you just using your imagination. This is you just being imaginative.
Thing is, I started playing FIFA 06 recently, so I've still got Van Nistelrooy in the team. So it's like,
can I just say that he was my absolute favourite striker of forever, like United ever.
So my 11 I got down here is obviously Henderson, Wan-Bissaka, Maguire. I did go for Varane because I think Varane with a year left on his deal is, there's been talks of, apparently United are in advanced talks with him. So looking at this 11, I've got a mixture of realistic / dream sort of, so a bit more of an even feel. So I've got, obviously I mentioned Dennis Zakaria. So I've got Dennis Zakaria, Pogba, Sancho, Bruno, Rashford, Cavani / Greenwood up top, because I think Cavani might sign a new deal because I think Daniel Levy would price Harry Kane out of a move because he's that sort of chairman.
Yeah.
Haaland, I think, will go to City because no matter what Pep's like, I'm not going to buy a striker. It's like, mate, you're definitely going to buy a striker because I wouldn't rely on Gabriel Jesus up front. You know,
He's absolutely dreadful. Like, what is wrong with him?
It's like our Liverpool fans. It's like our Liverpool fans pipe off Firmino saying, "Isn't he a great defensive forward?" It's like, well, no, it's like a striker's supposed to score goals. It's like, I don't care if you can't run as long as you put him in the back of the net. I don't care. Do you know what I mean?
It's like him in the back of the net. Yeah, exactly.
But
to be fair, we can't complain ourselves because we can't diss them because we've got Martial this season, so it's just horrible season.
You know what? Yeah. I'm Martial FC, man. I love the kid, man. I just hope that for his own sake, he can just pick up some form.
Yeah.
I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum. That part, I have grown a bit tired of Martial, to be honest.
Listen, I agree with you, but I believe that if you play for United, you have to cherish every single moment. You know, you cannot be having one season, at top level, fired, ready to go, everything perfect, and then the next season you've got excuses and there's so many distractions going on in the background. I don't like that. If you're gonna play for Man United, you have to be ready 100%. But I'm gonna be ranting about Martial all day long if I have to. It frustrates me a lot. Carry on.
But yeah, so I think like I said, Zachariah would be a cheap option. Varane obviously has talked about him going, but I think another defender, if United were to go for him, and I quite highly rate him, is the lad at Leverkusen, Tapsoba. He's really, like, from what I've seen of him, he's really good. I don't know where Leverkusen are actually in the league in a minute, but what I've seen of him is very impressive. Or say someone, obviously with the goalkeeper situation, no one actually knows whether. The thing is, it could be a case of what if Henderson leaves? And then in that case, who do you look around? You could say like Donnarumma, who's apparently on a free this summer. Players like that. But yeah, so that's my 11. I've got Henderson, Wan-Bissaka, Maguire, Varane, Shaw, with Zachariah, Pogba, Sancho, Bruno, Rashford, and then a mixture of like rotating Cavani, Greenwood up top. Because I think Cavani, we need to desperately get him on another year deal.
Yeah. What? Yeah, I like that. I like that.
I agree.
I'm just gonna add to that
well.
I'm gonna add that my dream signings. So what I want from United is to sign a centre-back called David Alaba. I think he's a quality player, a quality defender, and he will help Maguire with his pace. I would move Maguire to the right and just for him to be comfortable playing out from the back because he's so good with that. And his passing range is excellent. And then you have David Alaba with his running that's going to cover for him. But then the problem with this is he might be going to Real Madrid. So you're thinking like, how is it going to happen? Because if he signs for Real Madrid, that means Sergio Ramos or Varane is going to be available. So I might end up being happy with Varane, just like Nathan is at the moment. So yeah, I have to agree with that.
Yeah.
Now, my next signing for United, the top signing would be obviously Kessie in midfield, and then Jadon Sancho in attack. And like if we're talking about absolute dreams, then Harry Kane. But like you said, both of you guys said, Daniel Levy is never going to be, happy to sell him, especially to another English club. He would rather sell him to a foreign club for a lot of money. So, yeah, but that's all I got to say about that.
I think as well with the Harry Kane thing, it's like you've also got to think what's his personal preference. Does he want to stay here and break Shearer's record? Because obviously that must be in the back of his mind. And obviously, you got to think how many years you're getting out of Harry Kane. Do you get him for say 140 million, who's got about say 5 or 6 years in him, or do you get Haaland for about 50 million or so less, but you're getting like another 10 years out of him? That's the question. So,
True, yeah. I mean, I believe that if it was
so true.
Kane, yeah. Carry on, Trey. I think you want to say something.
No. Go ahead. I'm listening to you.
Yeah, no, I agree with you guys. It's a massive dilemma when it comes to like who do you pick out, like Haaland or Kane, if you were given the choice to do that. But for instant impact, experience, motivation, influence on the young strikers, I would go with Kane. I would go with Kane, and I would stay away from Haaland and all of his, just this whole everything, the background that goes around with his team, and they call it what, Team Holland? Like what is this, Mayweather? Like, come on, this is not boxing, bruv. This is football. I don't want to hear about no Team Holland. And for me, it might be silly of me to say this, but I would rather sign Kane than Erling Haaland. It's just that simple for me, because I believe the impact that he would have, and not only that, his maturity, his leadership, and the fact that he's already English, and I mean he played with Rashford, and imagine on top of that you sign Sancho. So like Trey was saying, Rashford, Kane, and Sancho, that is just England team in United shirt right there. So it would be a dream signing. And Haaland, if you think about it, he would just use you as another step to maybe go to Real Madrid or Barcelona or one of these clubs. So I'd rather sign Kane and say to him, listen, you can be our Van Persie. You can win us this league title and break Shearer's record, because, hey, you beat Shearer's record and you win a Premier League title. Come on, you can't beat that.
Yeah, no, 100% agree with you. Definitely, I feel that, especially in Kane, I think it could work out for both parties in that case, because we ultimately, let's say hypothetically, Cavani says, okay, I'm going to South America. I'm going to go Boca Juniors. So we're in a situation where we would have to bring in a striker anyway for that situation. So I reckon that Harry Kane would be the right person that we need right now to really go forward. And the goals, the influence, what he can do, Kane's the man, definitely. And he would want to beat Alan Shearer's record. And the only way he can beat Alan Shearer's record is by being in the Prem, and it can work in our favour, definitely, having someone like Harry Kane. And then I'm going to put this into sort of perspective as well. Some of the greatest teams in history, if you look at Italy, for example, if you look at their defence line, I know it's a completely different scale, but they were dominant over the years because they had the consistent players playing for the club team, and they were playing together on national level as well. So that chemistry is perfect. So I feel that we can definitely build that at Manchester United for sure.
Sort of Kane thing as well. I think because if you've seen the Tottenham All 11 documentary, which, by the way, I noticed how they missed the part where we beat him at Old Trafford for editing purposes. But
exactly.
He one of the first things he did when he spoke to Mourinho was he was saying that he wants to be in that Messi Ronaldo territory. He want to be in that Messi Ronaldo territory where he wants to win the big thing. He wants to win the big things. And I sat there listening to him thinking, well, you're not going to do that at Spurs. So you're either going to have to, because I think this either Tottenham not getting Champions League football, and I think with Mourinho there it's going to be like a domino effect, because obviously once Kane leaves, if Son leaves, I tell you what, that'd be a dream as well. I'd happily take Son. Although I don't reckon McTominay will reckon much of that. So
no, we're not friends with Son right now. Even though we won the game, I'm still.
We have to say as well, that was absolutely disgraceful from Son, man. Oh my gosh.
It was, yeah. I lost all respect for him.
I wonder how he survived. I thought McTominay proper roundhouse, proper.
Yeah. You know what? Yeah, I never thought that the day would come where I would be like, I don't respect Son, because he's just one of those guys that you cannot hate. Like, especially like when you think about players like Mata. When Mata was playing for Chelsea, I was thinking like he was one of my favorite players. You look at players like Ozil at Arsenal, one of my favorite players. Son, for me, is the equivalent of that.
Yeah.
And I never used to dislike him, but now you look at him and what a bastard Mourinho's turned him to. Like, it's just, he turned him to a cheat.
It's the fact that when he scored afterwards as well, and he's smiling like nothing happened.
Yeah,
and pass to Fred saved the day, so you know.
yeah. Fred, yes, Fred saved the day. How bad must he be that Fred scores against you? But yeah, man, you know,
I thought I'd like taking something that day. To be fair, just like taking some drugs. I was like, is that Fred? It's like Fred. It's like, oh, nice, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? But
I couldn't believe it. Mate, yeah, thank you so much, Nathan, for coming on the show. You know, it's been an absolute pleasure, and you're welcome to come on our show at any time in the future. You know,
just let me know. Like, I'm only a message away, so you know, just let us know.
You're part of the team. You're part of the team.
Am I?
Yeah. So enjoy the United win. Don't worry too much about the European Super League. We're second in the league. We're 8 points behind Man City with 6 games to go. You never know.
Second in the league, joint top in the European Super League. You know, it's all headed up.
Yeah. You never know, man. Yeah, hopefully we'll win the Europa League and have a good transfer window and start the season in the Premier League, not in the European Super League.
Yeah.